Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Community Hotline presented by 88 Real Estate Media. I am your host, Mr. Bob Fang. It is for the community, by the community, and today we have community member LaMarcus Miller. Why don't you introduce yourself, good sir?
Hello, Community Hotline. Bob, thank you so much for having me. And hello, everybody. So glad to be here and hope I can share some tidbits of knowledge.
Nice. So tell us right off the bat, I guess, when was the last time you talked to your mother?
Yesterday.
And how does she feel about this whole situation about you moving to living in LA and all that?
Oh, she's totally used to it. What is it? I'm originally from Texas. I moved from Texas to New York City, and I moved from New York City to LA. So she's used to me just being all over the place.
Okay. Was it hard when you first left home?
Absolutely. It is the most terrifying thing ever to sort of be uprooted from the community and then having to sort of establish your quote as an individual and not under the umbrella of your parents. But it only takes that very first step, and then it's easy after that.
Okay, I love it. All right, well, let's dive into the first topic of the day, which is money.
Yeah.
Tell us, what is money?
What is money? Let's see. I guess we can get very practical. Money allows us to buy things like, a house, car, funding school, food. It's important.
Okay.
I love money.
And how has your understanding of money changed from now since you were in high school?
Oh wow. That's a tremendous peregrination.
What is peregrination, guys?
Oh, okay. It's a journey. It's just a very epic journey. Yeah, my idea of money, I think at a very young age, I was pretty practical. I think how we use money and how we talk about it it's one of those sort of things that can be demonized as being this horrible thing, but money can actually be used to do a lot of good. My relationship with money has shockingly been very positive. Having a coursework in the arts, there was very, very little of it in the beginning. But I think having been in the arts, it's allowed me to appreciate when I do receive it and what I do with it. I think as an artist, and if there are any artists watching, our fiscal intelligence is going to provide a lot of opportunity for us to augment our careers. And I think the older I got and the more involved I got in music, I needed to use it as a way to sort of elevate myself as a singer. So it's become much more strategic in how I've used money. In high school, it just seemed like it was a thing, obviously, that I needed, but I didn't really, I knew it would come. I didn't sort of hunt for it. The older I've gotten, I've become much more strategic in, okay, how do I, get money? How do I use it? And how do I use it to better position me in my professional career? So it's become much more of a strategy as I sort of navigate adulthood.
Got it. Okay. And what was your first job?
My first job ever was a what is it? It was Walmart pushing carts because I wasn't old enough. No, I wasn't old enough to use the electric cart pusher. I had to physically push them. So I did that, pushing carts all around the parking lot in the Walmart parking lot.
And how old were you?
16, 17. Yep.
Okay. I love it. And then I guess what were some what are some struggles, having, I know you having taught some kids, what are some financial struggles you feel like the kids these days are going through? Or what did you
I think kids these days are there's this hunger, probably even more so. I think it's Gen Z is the new young group. Is that what Gen Z? and younger millennials, there's this rush to sort of do things very quickly and to get success very, very quickly and to get money very, very quickly. Um, and I think, it just takes time. It just, I think I'm discovering that even then, I wish I would have realized that success takes time and not to put so much pressure on myself to achieve.
Okay, I love that. You got any? You got 2 financial tips for the youth listening?
Yes, 2 financial tips. The first one being to save. I think money has all of these different prongs of engagement. So one, obviously, to spend, another one to save, and another to invest. And then I know you said 2, but these are popping in my head. So spend, save, invest. Invest in stocks so that you can have passive income, but also invest in yourself, invest in skills. I think in wanting to get more money, we have to develop high income skills. So reinvesting in yourself to attain those skills. So if you could do those 4 things, I think you'll be in a really great place.
Okay, if you could go back to your 17-year-old self and you're like,
Mhm.
you got to redo 2 things to ensure your financial career, what would you
Got
say?
it. 2 things: save, and you got to
Save on what
spend
though?
money.
What were you spending your money on back then?
Video games, clothes, food. Don't
And
spend it.
and you think your younger self would listen to you? And like, hey, stop buying video games and clothes.
I think he would. I think he would just sort of calm down the spending. I'm not saying don't spend, but if you have $100, that doesn't mean you have $100 to spend. That means you have, maybe $25 to $50 to spend. So
Okay, I love
if you
that.
can
And
resist,
what life experience taught you that when you have $100, you don't really have $100?
oh gosh. I'm not sure who I heard it from, but I feel like I heard it on YouTube from a rapper who said, if you can't buy something 3 or 4 times, no, I think he said 3 times, then you can afford it. So that really sat with me. It's like, oh, if I can't buy this 3 times, so if a video game costs $60 and I have 100, it's like, it just made me pause. Do I really need it? So I think having that like mini conversation with yourself helps create that platform and parameters of engagement. Like, do I need this? What else could I spend it on? If I save this, a month from now, then I can afford it.
I love that. I love that. That's like it's like thinking ahead, right? Like something.
Yeah, we all have to be thinking ahead, anticipating what's going to happen, and trying to make the best choices we know we can with the information that we have.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's move on to our second topic of the day, which is
Mhm.
education. I think that'll be a little bit more interesting. Financials are always like, I just be like, you know what, kids, just here's some financial advice. If you want to take it, take it. But
Yeah.
it's like we just get warmed up more. In terms of education, who were you in high school?
Um, I was someone who worked really hard, and it didn't. It showed that I worked really hard, but it didn't show in my grades. I was in
Elaborate.
all the AP. I was in all the AP classes. I took, calculus and AP English and AP History, and I struggled. And I just struggled. I think it was even then I'm realizing that I was so obsessed with not lying to myself that I was something. I always want to prove to myself. If you believe that you're smart, then be amongst people that are smarter. And even though I would struggle, it still gave me a real, a true idea of where I was and what I needed to work on. So that was who I was. I was a really hard worker, but I was not an A student. I was not an AB student. I was an ABCD student.
Okay. And then I guess what were some challenges you faced in
In
your
high
youth?
school.
Yeah.
Um,
Not saying you're not young now still.
yep, when I was younger, I it was the obsession with success.
Can you explain a little bit?
That's
What does that mean? Like what?
Again, I think it was trying to rush things. I wanted so badly to be in the music business. I wanted so badly to have money. I wanted that, that in many ways I felt like I wished my life away. Um, I was, at 15 years old, I'm like, I can't wait until I'm 25 because then I'll be able to do this and I'll have this. And I just wasn't a 15-year-old. I was, strategizing and trying to figure out. And though that's good, I think everything has to be about balance. Um, so I just wish I just would have been a little bit more present and just been a kid more. I would say that's my biggest challenge.
Was just staying present and being a kid.
Yeah, being really, really
Can you
present.
talk me through? Can you talk me through the that experience then of like, you know, I guess planning and not being present, or how wanting to be successful, all that.
Sure. Well, off the top of my head, I remember I did not go to prom because I used the money to pay for my down payment for the dorms at school, at college. Um, and for me, that was the right decision at the time. But, a piece of me is like, oh, you should have gone to prom. Um, so I missed out on that sort of, that last moment with the seniors. I, what is it? Often after school, wasn't involved too much. The things that I was involved in were directly related, I thought, to what I wanted to be and do after I left high school. So I was heavily involved in JROTC, and I was only involved in it because I thought I was going to go to the military. Went to A&M University through their JCAT program, um, and I was just taking the ASVAB. So everything was very, very specific. I'm doing this because it has a life cycle outside of high school instead of
Mm.
just, being in high school.
Okay. And what happened with the ASVAB? Did you take it? What'd you get?
I don't remember what I got. I mean, it was good enough to let me in, but I ended up not going that route. I ended up discovering music right before what is it? Right before I decided to commit.
What does that mean? I
So,
mean, how did you discover music then?
oh gosh, so I know so many things. I decided to become an opera singer at the spring, the fall of 2000. I'm sorry, the spring of 2006, slash fall of 2005. I heard a recording. I had never sung before, but I had this really religious experience that said I was supposed to create those sounds. So, and having a true vision for myself, I just went after it. And, you know, fast forward, I've sung at like Kennedy Center, Carnegie Hall, Dobly Theater, Final Fantasy 14 soundtrack. Like it's been a big part of my life. So, summary of the education story is what does or does not happen in school does not determine your career and your life.
So wait, so in 2005, 2006, how old were you?
Oh, like 18, 17, 18. Yeah, because that was
Okay.
senior
So you
year.
started singing for the
Mhm.
first time in high school then?
Say that one more time.
You started singing for the first time in high school?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And then I guess what are like the top three lessons you learned, through that education of going through your music career, I guess, for like maybe for up and coming singers, or for when you were younger, if you could like go through the whole music career one more time, what are some things you would want to learn?
Sure. So I'll just do a mini download on. So I currently, since we're in education, have a doctorate degree in music, so music business, and arts leadership. So it's really just an amalgamation of the nonprofit arts world and the for-profit music world. I have a Master of Music from the Manhattan School of Music. My doctorate is from USC, and my undergrad is from Dallas Baptist University. So, for me, education provided an opportunity to create connections and to get visibility and training. Because again, I had never, as an opera singer, you're responsible for all the Romance languages, in addition to some of the Slavic ones. So, I just didn't have that background. So I spent lots of studying just language. Towards the end of my career, I moved more into the commercial pop music world. and most recent, I would say before the pandemic and everything happened, Final Fantasy 14. I did one of their concerts at Dolby. The baritone from Japan couldn't make it to LA, so it was a Japan, LA, Germany tour. And then I got a call from one of the conductors, and Masayoshi Soken, the composer. He was like, can you sing this? I think it was White Raven. Can you sing White Raven? And sang White Raven, screamed my face off. Oh, funny story about White Raven. Sorry, I know we're talking. So, okay, Dobly Theater, House of the Oscars. We all know what that is. So before I go on stage, I went. I'm not sure if you've been around Dolby. They have those like food marts, and I went and ate something. And before I go on stage, I just feel like I'm gonna throw up in front of Dolby Theater. There's like 3,000 people. And I tell the guy, hey, can we move, the White Raven song a little later? He was like, no, because they have the video game playing and they have the orchestra. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And he was like, throw up in your pocket and keep singing. So I go on stage with my like jacket like this. And then like all the fans are waiting to hear White Raven and they are screaming, like, if you can imagine. And I'm just like, luckily I didn't do that. I didn't throw up on the stage, and it was amazing. It was a great experience. But no, I've had a really, big, vast musical experience. Now I'm moving more into the business development part, sort of the back end of the music industry. Music industry is becoming much more digitized, and it's in a tremendous upswing now. 2017 was the first time we actually saw mechanical sales. Not mechanical sales. We saw streaming surpass mechanical sales, and this is the biggest upswing of music since the disruptive technologies of 1999 and 2000 with the pirating platforms like Napster, et cetera. So it's a very exciting time to be in music, and I'm watching its engagement with technology.
Okay, I love it. So I guess in general then, I guess for me, it was like, what is it? Because I think one thing that stood out for me was like, you mentioned you had to learn all the Romance languages and everything.
Yeah.
Does that mean you have to like know how to speak French and Spanish and like you had to learn how to speak these languages, or you just had to learn some songs?
It's tricky. You have to learn. I mean, because I don't think you have enough time to learn the whole language. Because I would say for opera, you're responsible for German, Italian, French, French. Oh, and yeah, it's pretty much German, Italian, French. Yeah, those are the big ones. I feel like I'm missing one: German, Italian, French. And I feel like that's it. Okay. I think those are it.
Gonna rip you in the comments. Not remember.
I know, probably. Yeah, someone tell me. But you're responsible for those languages. So what you're looking for really is the syntax, like being able to see a sentence, being able to understand. Like you have to have some familiarity with the words and vocabulary. And then these new sounds, a lot of the sounds don't exist, especially in English. So we have this thing called the IPA, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet. And then we do this thing called Syllabic Division, where you get the rhythm of the word. So if I say ragazza, so I have ragazza, I have 3 syllables, and I have, say, where's the stress of that? Is it ragazza, ragazza, or ragazza? So it's ragazza. So it's like first for figuring out that each language and each word has its own rhythm, and then being able to sort of dissect that in your study. Same thing for German. If I say Ausführliche, it's a different rhythm than from, piangere. So I think that's a big piece. Is just for it to be believable. I mean, you may not have to understand the language fully, but you have to understand how it's constructed, what the words mean definitely, so you can communicate, and what the rhythm is. So like French, for the most part, the rhythm, the accent is typically on the end. For Italian, it's pretty much the penultimate syllable. And then German, it's like, who knows? It could be the stress of the word could be in multiple places.
That's insane. I don't think I realized the amount of studying that it might go into it. Do you recommend, like, how does someone get into the opera world? Do you have to go to school? Is it like a mandatory thing, or can you just go on American Idol or America's Got Talent and then just do it all through YouTube videos?
That's a good question. I would say it's not required, but if it's not required, if it's not required that you go to school, but if you decide to pursue a career in this sort of archaic art form, there is a lot of knowledge that one has to have to engage with this style of music. Because we're talking about like, from the Baroque era when it started. So when we actually paired voices together with instruments, which we call monody, all the way up till now. So that's the Baroque era, that's the classical era, the Baroque era, Renaissance, classical, romantic, contemporary. Like that's a just a vast journey of musical what's the word I'm looking like of musical change and colors and harmonic vocabulary. So yeah, if you can, I think with opera, it's about the voice. The reason opera singers sing the way they do is because this is pre-amplification music. So you hear this powerful sound and you hear this oscillation of the pitch because they're trying to distinguish themselves from, say, a 60-piece orchestra underneath them. So they're trying to access what we call resonance and the singer's format, which what we call squillo, where they're trying to access this sort of upper overtone partials that distinguishes them from the sort of harmonic territory that the decibelage that the orchestra is hitting. So it's like, how does one voice compete with 60 pieces of instruments? And it's with resonance.
Wow.
So it's a real science, to singing that you have to figure out.
So from all the education that you've done, what have you noticed that a lot of I guess kids struggle with these days? Besides, I think I know you said you were striving to like for always for that perfection and then not being present in the moment. I guess, would you say those are things that your peers also struggle with, or do they also have, go through like different stuff too?
So ask that question one more time. Sorry, I don't think I caught it.
I guess, yeah. What are the challenges, of like the people that you saw? Or did other people go through the same challenges that you went through as you were coming up, through school?
Yeah, I think any artist is going to be like that. There's this hunger to make it. There's this hunger to be seen. There's a hunger to sort of have your moment and your chance. So absolutely, yeah. So I think that just comes with the nature of being an artist. The reason we do it is because we're all chasing that euphoric experience, and we want to share that. Yeah, I think it just comes with the territory. Absolutely, everybody. It's like, why am I killing myself? We want someone to see this work.
Do you feel like you still feel that same way now, currently, or yeah?
Yeah, I don't think it goes away. Absolutely, I think I feel like I've been able to repurpose it and to sort of use it for good and to find balance. I think right now I'm 33, so it's just like, wow, that happened really quickly. It's like, so am I really enjoying and being present in what's happening right in this moment? Because instead of saying, I'll be happy when I get a record deal, I'll be happy when Carnegie Hall, gives me my own show, I'll be happy when Dobly Theater calls me, I'll be happy when Masayoshi calls me for the next Final Fantasy. It's like, no, you can't put these parameters on yourself. It's kind of like, happiness is a choice. And, you have to sort of really sit in that and just, from that one happy place, make what's the right next move, as opposed to thinking 20 years ahead of time. It's like, okay, when this happens, this is when I'm going to live or start living or activate myself or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
I think you're mentioning something really, really good here. Can you give like a step-by-step plan, like a 3-step, action plan on how to do that? Because I think most people do that, right? I need to be happy in the future once I get this, get that, the parameter thing. So like, how do you stay in the moment, or how do you do it? What is your 3-step plan?
Sure. I think before you start the plan, you have to have what I call a true vision for yourself that is unfettered by the opinions of other people. That's going to be the most powerful thing you can do for yourself, because the minute you share that vision with people, there's going to be all of these things that get into it. I remember this quote from Maya Angelou that said, "Words are things. They get into the carpet, they get into the walls, they get into the floor, they get into your clothes, and eventually they get into you." And so the first thing, you have to sort of kind of black out the white noise and have a true vision for yourself, and to undoubtedly, follow that journey. Then when you have that sort of platform and that very sturdy foundation, you can start, okay, step one, am I doing everything I know to do to get to where I'm wanting to land? And having an idea of where, or at least like an area of where that landing is. So once you have an idea of where you want to go, then you can start backtracking. Okay, so then what are the skills needed to get there? Second step is building a plan that's attainable. So if you want to be an executive in the music business, learning about the music industry, environmentally scanning, what's happening with the music business now? How's technology informing performances? How's technology informing talent acquisition? How's A&R using technology? What is A&R tracking?
What does A&R stand for?
Oh, and artist and repertoire. So that's the second step. Third step is the trickiest step. It's to let go. We can only control what we do. We can't control what people think of us. We can't control how people perceive us. We can only show up, do our best work. And then in doing that, we find our tribe.
I mess with that. The Muslims have a saying called Inshallah. You ever heard of it?
I've heard of it. What does it mean?
It's God's will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, God's will. All right. Well, let's move on to the last topic of the day, which is love. You seem like a very passionate person. Obviously, you're an opera singer, super dramatic. Every opera singer I've known. Tell us what is love?
Love is should be calm. It should be freeing. And should be there's a word in my head, I just can't think of what it is, but it shouldn't it should just provide a platform for people to exist. That's it. That's my answer. I know that's vague, but it makes sense to me. It provides a platform for people to exist. And that's romantic and non-romantic. So I'm providing a platform for people to exist now. So by the pandemic. So by not traveling, to Texas, I'm loving people I don't know. I'm providing a platform for them to exist.
App idea.
App idea.
Who was your first love?
My grandmother.
Okay. What was your first heartbreak?
My first heartbreak.
Have you ever been in love? Oh, well, yeah, your grandma.
My first heartbreak. I'm trying to. You know what? I'm going to. I don't think I've not been in love yet. I don't think. Not in the romantic sense. Not yet.
Have you ever dated?
Yeah. But just nothing has happened.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I think when you're kind of a taskmaster like myself, nothing is ever quite right. And, I think on top of being a Virgo, there's an unreasonable expectation for myself and others. And that's a little bit of that sort of old LaMarcus seeping through into my old life, that whole, everything has to have a purpose. Even my friends, I can only talk about the weather for so long before it's okay. But what I'm doing right now, because I think, the sort of catalyst for all of this is how I view myself. And I'm right now falling in love with myself.
Okay.
And I think those have been a lot of roadblocks for myself, is that I didn't often feel attractive or feel wanted or feel those things. And it's okay, well, you're asking someone to do all of these things for you, but what you done? Like, what do you love yourself? So, yeah, starting there, it's like once you fall in love with yourself, then you navigate the world differently, and you set the standard for how the world engages with you.
Got it. When you mentioned before on your 3-step plan,
Mm,
and that you had to have a clear vision of who you are in this world,
mm, mm,
what is your vision of who you are in this world?
mm. The vision of myself is I see myself as someone who is tremendously empathetic, um, and especially to artists. I have such a heart for artists, having been one. And the vision that I have for myself is to, I'm not sure how that will manifest itself. I don't know if that'll be as a music executive in A&R, or that'll be in a business development, or as an educator. But it is to be in a space where I'm actually making the lives of artists better, and informing, no, not informing, educating people that might not be under the umbrella of artistic creation, what that journey is like. And we're seeing that right now. Many artists will be among the last to rebound in this sort of step-by-step program of the pandemic. And we're kind of needing to teach society that we're valuable. And I'm thinking about artists right now, like, lots of freelance artists don't have, access to their typical, waitress jobs, or, service jobs. And they can't perform live, or they can't do their things in public because of the pandemic. So it's kind of a double whammy. And they might not have the skills that transfer directly over to the commerce world or the corporate. So it's, I think the society needs to reestablish a value proposition to artists, and showing them that they are valuable, they have something to offer. And I'm, speaking to future artists, you are valuable. And it's, our job as artists, creators, to inform the world of what we do, and continuously making the world just an easier place to exist in. Because that's the hardest part.
I love that. Okay. And then I guess some of the kids that I've talked to, one of the things that keeps popping up that I just want your thoughts on is I've talked to a lot of kids that say like they have trouble like communicating with their parents, like my dad doesn't understand me, or my mom doesn't understand me, you know, along those lines. Did you ever have any challenges communicating with your parents, your dad or your mom, or?
Absolutely. I think that's expected, and that conversation with the parents such a precedence for how we engage with future people in our business life. The first thing you have to remember is that your parents are human, and it's hard to remember that when you're children and you depend and look to them for everything, and you see them as titans that do nothing wrong, or that are, perceived as doing nothing wrong. I think you have to first recognize that they are human, they make mistakes. And in those conversations, let's say it's a career, that seems to be a big thing. Mom, I want to do this, dad, I want to do this. And dad's moms are like, no, no, no. Their first instinct as parents is to protect you, especially if it is something that is not in the sort of cosmos of this is acceptable, because someone can only give you help and aid in something that they have done. So if I am offering something to a duet of people who are flawed, that is outside of their own experiences, it's going to immediately be a shutdown, because they don't understand it and they don't know what the road is to it. And the parents, they want to protect and they want to help. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that. I completely hear and acknowledge that. But at the same time, that goes back to having a true vision for yourself. My parents, they were shocked that I was going to go to the military and was planning this for years. And then a course of a day, 4 years of planning changed.
How do you communicate with your parents? Is it better now, or how did you go about it?
Obviously better now, because I understand them more. Having become an adult and understand the narrative of growing up and having to pay bills and being responsible for my life and navigating the world and jobs, then there's a lot more parallelism between their experience and mine. So that creates a lot more common ground. the difference between parents and children is that they don't have a lot of those experiences. So parents feel as though what they're making a much more informed decision about their child. Now, I believe children can counteract this often with research and due diligence. If you bring to your parents something that you've thought about, so if you said, I want to do this, and this is my business plan, or this is my plan for the next 5 years, the conversation is going to be much, much different than you just saying, I want to do this without any research or environmental scanning.
Is that what you
So-
did? You showed them a PowerPoint?
Nope, I didn't do that.
gotta find that
I just said, a PowerPoint, this is going to work. But it's a different conversation when there's research and there's a real strategy for what you're trying to do.
Okay. No, but I mean, is that what you did, or how did you?
Oh no, I did no strategy. I did no PowerPoint. No, what I did was just I think over time they just saw that I was not stopping. Like I was constantly obsessed with music. That I was constantly doing something with music, and of course, when the success comes, then it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But again, it all stems back to that first vision. It's like if you don't fall in love with it and do it and believe in it, then who else will? If you don't believe in yourself, yeah.
Right. I love that. Okay. And then last question is, what is one defining moment in your life and how did it impact you?
One defining moment. So I had this really great opportunity with being under the guise of an opera singer to do this opera called Fallujah, which was based off of the 2004 Iraq War. Essentially what happened is insurgents burned and killed some Americans and in Fallujah, and then the Marines went through and completely leveled the city. And I started this opera in 2014 with the Kennedy Center, and it started this national conversation about PTSD and between Americans and Iraqi Americans, but any Saudi Arabia, Iraq. It just started this really tremendous conversation about that war and about PTSD via opera. This went on to, I did it at Kennedy Center, then it went to TED Talk, and then to Long Beach Opera, the New York City Opera. And it was such a profound experience because, eventually it won an Emmy, it became an opera movie. We did a documentary about it, but it provided this sort of pathway of healing for veterans, regardless if they fought in Fallujah or not. It was just an opportunity for them to experience this and experience their own trauma in a really organic and healthy way. And working directly with veterans on the opera, like how to hold an M16, how to parole, how to look for, things that are wrong in your environment. This was therapeutic for them. I actually ended up doing a study about music as healing for PTSD and moral injury, and how songwriting and group music therapy is actually healing and actually changes how our brain speaks, the default mode network of our brain, how it speaks to the other side and activates nostalgia and physically, gets rid of stress just from listening to things that we enjoy.
Okay. Powerful moment in the life of LaMarcus.
Yeah.
Tell me, any last words, anything you want to say to wrap it up for everyone listening? Where can people find you? Got any plugs?
Let's see. Black Prince LM, I'm always on Instagram. So shoot me a note. I'm more than happy to talk. If you want anything from like a advice, a consultation, or a voice lesson, I do it all. Last piece of advice I would say is, what is it? Again, I want to say that thing again. What does or does not happen in school does not determine your career. It just doesn't. Probably the last piece of advice I would give you is that where you are right now seems so massive, but your life is so huge. So those 4 years in high school, when you think about, the 70+ years that you have on earth, what's happening in that 4-year arc is not the determiner of who you are and what you will become. So just remember that in the grand scope of things, you have a lot of life to live.
Got it. Love that. All right. Well, before I forget, 88 Real Estate Media is looking for members to join the oversight committee to build the best Kung Fu school. If you guys are interested, shoot me a message. LaMarcus, you want to sing us out real quick? Give us a little 8 count, a measure.
Oh gosh, sing us out. Okay, let's see what I can sing. Let me see. Per sempre io ti perdei